Buenos días o buenas tardes o buenas noches. ¿Cómo estás? Yo estoy muy bien. Hope you're looking forward to starting week 2. And this week we're going to start off by learning the Spanish alphabet. Hopefully by now you've downloaded the document that you see on my screen. It's a list of notes we're going to fill out today as we learn the alphabet in Spanish. So today, if you want to print this out and do this with a pencil or a pen, that would be okay. If you prefer to download it and type it, that's okay as well. But what we have here is the Spanish alphabet. I have the letters over here, and there's an example word and there's an example sound. We're going to take some notes today over the phonetic spelling. So I'm going to have you write down what the letters sound like so that way you can practice. So for example, in English we say A, but in Spanish we say A, B, C, Che, D, E, F, etc. So I'm going to teach you today the alphabet. I'm going to have you write down what they sound like. So here's how we're going to do it. Here in a second, I'll go through some slides, and each slide has the letter at the top. And then where it says sounds like, I've tried to spell it out for you in a phonetic way, the way that actually the letter sounds. So again, how do you say A in Spanish? You say A, which sounds like A-H. So you're going to come over here and write A-H, and that way as you're practicing in the coming days, you can see that phonetic spelling to help you practice. I've also given you an example of an example word and then an example sound. So every slide's going to be set up the same way today. Afterward, we'll go over to the B, because the letter B in Spanish, it makes the sound B, which sounds like the word B-A-Y in English. So we're going to spell out B-A-Y on your notes. So you've got A and B. An example word is barco because it sounds like the B in bag, and a barco is a bag. So as you go through the video today, you may have to pause it, and you may want to watch this video a couple of times as we learn the alphabet, but every slide will be set up the same way. By the time we finish the video today, you'll have written down in this column what the letters sound like in Spanish, okay? So we'll go through the first two pretty quickly since we already started. Take some good notes today, and at the end we'll practice quite a bit. So A sounds like A-H. It sounds like the A in avocado, and an example word is abeja, which is a bee. The letter B in Spanish sounds like be. It sounds like the B in the word bag. An example word is barco, which is a boat. Se. That's the letter C. It sounds like S-A-Y, say, and it sounds like the C in the word cool. And an example word is doce, which is the number 12. And the reason that there's an asterisk here, there's a special note on the letter C that we'll talk about at the end of the video. Che is the next letter, and it sounds like che, C-H-A-Y, che. And it sounds like the CH in the word chocolate. Or in Spanish, a sample word is chocolate. De is the next letter in the Spanish alphabet, and it sounds like the English word day. All right, it sounds like the D in the word desk, and an example is dado, which we use dados for dice. E, and this can be a little confusing, so it's the letter E in Spanish, but it sounds like E. All right, that's what it sounds. It sounds like the E in the word elephant. So an example is elefante. All right, so far we have A, B, Se, che, de, e. All right. The next letter is F-A. All right. That's the letter for F in Spanish, and it sounds like F-A. So F-A, like the F in the word flower. And our sample word is flor, which means flower in Spanish. The next letter is G in English. In Spanish, it sounds like hey. It sounds like the H in the word hut. And a word is girasol, which is a sunflower. And again, there's an asterisk over here. There's a special note on the letter G. We'll come back and talk about that in a second, why that's there. But for now, just jot down the word hey. That's the sound that it makes. The word H in Spanish sounds like H. All right. It's silent like the H in the word honest. All right. So an example word is helado, which is ice cream. But again, the H is H, and it's a silent letter. The next letter is the I in Spanish, but the I in Spanish sounds like E. All right, it sounds like the word I in the word studio, if you were to say that in English. An example word is isla. So again, the letter I in English sounds like E in Spanish. The letter J in Spanish is pronounced jota. All right, so I tried to spell it out the way that it would sound in English, jota. It's similar to the H in the word hut, and an example word is jaguar, which is a jaguar. So jota. So far we have a, be, se, che, de, e, efe. All right, and after efe, we had the h, e, and jota. K sounds like ka, like the word kaboom. So that's ka. It sounds like the word K in koala, and an example in Spanish is koala, which is a koala. So K is ka. The letter L in Spanish sounds like ele. All right, so I've got this L-A side by side ele. It sounds like the L in the word love when you say the word love in English. And an example word is luna, which luna is the moon. So L makes the sound ele. Spanish also has a letter, the two L's side by side, and it sounds like eye. All right, so it almost sounds like the Y in the word yellow. And an example word is llave. So again, it's pronounced eye. The letter M sounds like ime, like the M in the word moon. So an example is mano. All right, ime. N sounds like ine. All right, it sounds like the N, the letter night. An example is nieve. Nieve means snow. So ine. The letter O, or excuse me, inye is in the letter that doesn't exist in the English alphabet, and it's got the inye. You saw this word a little bit in our lesson last week. It has this little mark above it, and it sounds like inye. All right, so this is ine, this is inye. It's similar to the ny when you say the word canyon. It's similar to the sound that it makes. And an example of this word would be niño, and niño is a child, so it makes the sound ine. O is, pronounced in Spanish, o, kind of like this, the expression o that we have. It sounds like the O in the word other. And an example word is oso, which is a bear. The letter P in Spanish sounds like pe. I like the word P in professor is kind of how that sound is. And an example word is pez, which is a fish. Q sounds like, the letter Q is, pe is ku. All right, so we have pe for P, Q for Q. It sounds like the letter Q in the word queen. An example is queso, which is cheese. And in Spanish, the letter R sounds like R. So I've got here A-I-R-A. R is what that sounds like. It's similar to the word R and the letter R in the word prince. So an example would be like Peru, and that's the country. And Spanish also has two R's that are side by side, and this sounds like R. All right, so R. It almost sounds like the noise you make when you're imitating the sound of a race car engine. So here's an example word, perro, all right, is a dog in Spanish. So the R makes the sound, the two R's make the sound R. S in Spanish sounds like ese. And again, you see how I've spelled it out here, S-A, ese. And it sounds like the S in the word sun. So think of the word sol, that's a sample word, that means sun. T in Spanish is te. It sounds like the word, the letter T in the word telephone. So teléfono is a word that starts with a T, teléfono. U in Spanish sounds like U. It sounds like kind of when you say the word food, those two O's side by side, that's kind of the sound that it makes, but U, like the word uva, and uva is a grape. The letter V in Spanish makes the sound B. It almost sounds like the letter B in the word bag. So volcán is a volcano, so B is the sound that V makes. W makes the sound doble B. It almost sounds like the W in the word water, and an example would be water polo, which is the same word as it is in English. X makes the sound X. So I've got my X. X is the X sound. It almost sounds like the letter X in the word taxi. So taxi is an example of a word in Spanish. Y, this is kind of a long one to write out, but the Y makes the sound Y. So Y is what it sounds like, Y. It almost sounds like the letter Y in the word you. And yogur is a sample word. And then finally, Z in Spanish is zeta. All right, so zeta is how you would write that out to remember the phonetic spelling. And it sounds like the S in the word sun, like zorro, which is a fox. So zeta. All right, so that's the Spanish alphabet. Let's go back and look at our notes for a second for a special note here on the backhand side. So hopefully you have the sounds all phonetically written out and you can go back in and practice those. It says special note on the words C and G. So in Spanish, when you have the word C and there's a vowel that comes after it, it can change sounds. A CA, a CO, or a CU, they're going to sound like the C in the word cool. It's a very hard sound. So when I say these words in Spanish, casa, coco, cuadro, all right, you have that hard sound. But a C that's next to an E or next to an I, it's actually a soft sound, and it sounds like the C in the word Sicily. All right, so up here it was casa, coco, cuadro. Down here it's cereza and cielo. So you hear that different sound. G does the same thing. A GA, a GO, and a GU, those are what we call a hard sound. And it almost sounds like the letter G in the word leg. So this is gato, gol, guante. All right? But when a G is next to an E or an I, it's a soft sound. It's almost like the H in the word hut. All right? Girasol or geografía. So gato, gol, guante, but girasol, geografía. So that's why those special notes are there. It changes the pronunciation just a little bit. And then finally, stress rules. By now you've seen that some words in Spanish have accents on them. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about stress rules here. In Spanish, if a word ends in a vowel, so A, E, I, O, or U, an N or the letter S, the stress on that word always falls on the second to last syllable. So for example, if I look at the word casa, casa, it has two syllables. Since the word ends in an A, the stress falls, which means my voice naturally goes up on the second to last syllable. So casa, casas, casona, and that actually that is on the wrong syllable. That underline shouldn't be there. We'll fix that. Casona should be right there. And then helado. So when a word ends in a vowel, N or an S, the stress is on the second to last syllable. In Spanish, if a word ends in a consonant other than N or S, you always want to stress the last syllable. So español, comer, usar. My stress falls on the very end. Then finally, rule 3 is if a word has an accent mark, that's the syllable that you stress. So if you see a written accent mark, teléfono, océano, tomé, your voice naturally goes up where that accent mark is. So some words will have accents, and when they don't have if they do have an accent, again, that's where your stress goes. If they don't have an accent, just look at the way the word ends, and that will tell you where to put the stress on there. All right. Linked below this video is a video to a song. It's a song that I always use in class when I teach the alphabet that will help you. It'll get stuck in your head, but that's a good thing. It's kind of a marching. It's the alphabet in Spanish, but it's kind of a marching drill song. So I want you to play that a few times. It'll help you with your alphabet. It'll help you memorize A, B, C, Che, D, E, F, etc. Again, you may want to watch this video again. You may want to pause it and start it again. But by now, hopefully you've got a chance to practice or to hear a little bit how the sounds of the Spanish alphabet sound. And I'll have some practice activities for you next. Hasta luego!